back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about data types and variables. So let's get started. Now one of the things that will be coming in your mind right now would be, what are data types? Before we jump into data types, let me tell you what is data. Stored information is data. Now types of data is data types. I'll give you some examples of data types. String is an example of a data type. Words or sentences are string, like hello world is a string. Then comes character. Letters are character, like A, B, C. Then comes integers. Numbers are integers, like 1, 2, 3. Then comes float. Decimal numbers, like 1.25, 2.35, 6.85, or 6.84, any decimal number. Now, as we know, what is data types, examples of data types, let's take a deep dive into data types. Now, first point is programmers use variables to store values. A variable can hold several types of data. Variable is a special type of amount or quantity. It changes, it's dynamic. So this point is very self-explanatory, so I think you all got it. In JavaScript, we don't have to declare a variable's data type before using it. Okay? So this means that, for an example, if the variable's data type, for an example, is an integer, in other languages, we would have written the short form of integer, which is int, and then we would have wrote the variable's name that we have made. But here in JavaScript, we just write the keyword var and then the name of the variable that we have chosen. So this happens in other languages. The int one happens in other languages. And when we don't have to tell which the variable's data type, that happens in JavaScript. Okay? So we don't have to worry about declaring any variable's data type before using it. Now the other one is any variable can hold any JavaScript data type. So for an example, if there's a variable here, this is a variable. It can store a string, it can store a float, it can store a character, it can store anything. It's not, particular that this variable can only store a float or a string. Any variable can hold any JavaScript data type. Now, as we know what is data type, examples of data type, and we took a deep dive into data type, let's go to variables. Okay, so now what is a variable? A variable is a special type of amount or quantity which has an unknown value. Because it has an unknown value because it's dynamic, it changes all the time. Now, as we know what's variables, when we are writing a variable, there are certain rules that we have to follow. So let's see what the rules are, and we're going to be experimenting them in VS Code. Now, the first one is the variable name must start with a letter or an underscore. Okay, so let's go to VS Code and experiment. We're going to go very soon. Here we go. Here, there. Now, it is saying that a variable name must start with an underscore or a letter, nothing else. So we're going to make two variables. So we're going to write variable. So the first variable can be can we subscribe? Sorry, now do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell and like the video. So you can write it like this or like this. We can also write a variable name as ice cream. I'll name it as ice cream. Okay, so we have made a variable named ice cream. So this this variable is correct because we're starting it with a letter. I is a letter. There can also be a variable as underscore ice cream. This is also correct. Okay, so this is also correct. And we can also make a variable like this. This. Oh, I wrote the variable in caps lock. Sorry. Yeah, now this variable is also correct. So we can write, it should start with a letter or an underscore. Okay, so this is the first rule. Now let's go and see what is the second rule. Okay, so second rule is you can use numbers in a variable name but not as the first character. So it says that we can make a variable. So you can make a variable. So I'm just going to make a variable here. I'm just going to delete this one. So you can make a variable like code123. This variable name is acceptable, but we cannot write the name as 123 code. This, see, it's showing an error. Everything's red. And if you see closely, all the variable name comes in a sea green color. But this number, the 123 number, is not coming in it. It's coming in a whitish color. So you can see that it's showing an error because of it. Because it's not taking it as a variable name. It's showing an error. Because this is against the rules. So you can't make a variable like this. Okay. Now let's go to the other rule. The other rule says, okay, we're gonna go again. The other rule says you can't use space. You can't use space to separate characters. So if you're gonna write here, you're making a variable name like this. I'll write here, I love ice cream. So it's showing an error because this should be written as, this should be written as so it should be written like this. Now it's not showing an error because there should be no space in a variable name. No space, or it's going to be incorrect. So how we type, we don't have to type like that. We have to not put any space in a variable name. Now let's go to the other rule. So the other rule says that capitalize the first letter of every word except the first. So you're saying capitalize the first letter of every word except the first. It's kind of tricky, but let me tell you. Except the first word, capitalize the first. I'm going to tell you what it is. Let's go. Okay. So if I'm making a variable like ice cream again, I'm just going to delete all the variables that I've made. Or I'm going to make a variable named, I'm just going to make it, okay, I'm going to make it Techo. Now this variable, if you see the rules, this variable is incorrect. It's not showing an error, but it is incorrect. Because there are two words, tech and girl. So it's saying that capitalize the first letter of every word, except the first. What's the meaning of except the first? It's saying except the first word. So you have to do it something like this. Now it's correct. With the help of the rules, you can see that this is correct. Then we write this. According to the rule, this is incorrect, while this is correct. This is correct. Now the last one you all know, but I'll tell you once again, and that is, you go once again here. Okay, so to declare a variable, use the keyword var and the variable name. You all know how to make a variable, so it's just saying that. Now I want to share a very important rule with you, that for an example, you're making a variable. Okay, you're making a variable y, and you're assigning it the value 5. Now, after some line of code, you want to change the value. So you write variable y now equals to 3. When you're going to execute it, it's going to show an error. But why? There's no problem in changing the value, so why will it show an error when we're going to execute? Because JavaScript is case sensitive. Here, as you can see, when we made a variable, we wrote it in uppercase, and when we had to change the value, we wrote it in lowercase. So in JavaScript, the uppercase y and the lowercase y are different variables. Okay? So they're not the same. JavaScript is case sensitive. So I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell and like the video. I'm going to be seeing you in the next video.